Hey guys, welcome back to Susie on the Farm. I'm Susie. So in today's video, I have had all my Christmas decor in boxes in a storage unit. And I finally went and got it all out, and I have been sorting through those boxes, trying to figure out what is my home decor and what is for sale in the store. And I've come to find out that I never get rid of any Christmas decorations, no matter what kind of shape they're in, how out of date they are. I just keep them and hang on to them. So in today's video, I'm going to take a few of those decorations that are really not my style, or they're beat up, or they're just in bad shape, and I'm going to try to salvage them, make them more my style, and use them a few more years in my decorations. So let's go ahead and get started with this video. Now for my first project, I had this cute basket, and I don't hate it, but as you can see, it's got a lot of paint splatter on it. I don't remember when I did that or if I did that, but I'm going to go ahead and just coat that bottom part with aviary, and it also helps when you're painting a basket to have a Mr. Bottle handy, especially when you're painting with DIY paint. When I got done painting, I realized that a couple of the molds were missing on it, but that's no problem. I actually had a couple of castings in my stash, so I just painted them with the aviary and glued them in the missing spots on the basket. Once everything was dry, I finished the basket off with a quick coat of white wax and wiped back a lot of it. I even did the red handles just to soften up the color on the whole basket. And now I can totally see myself being able to use this basket in my Christmas decor for a few more years, and I love how it looks with the trees in it. So for today's second project, I have had this metal basket bag tin thing for many years. It's to put a candle in, and it has that pretty little cutout. But as you can see, the many years, and I'm saying like 20 years probably, has worn it out. It's got scratches all over it. So what I decided to do was take one of the castings of the cloche mold, glue it over the front there. I used Titebond glue, and I wiped away any excess. There was lots of excess because I had to squeeze the bottle and had way too much. So the next morning, once that glue was completely dry and it stuck on this really well, I came in and I gave it 2 coats of the new Fusion Color Tapestry. I'm loving this neutral beige color. It's very pretty. So I went ahead and did 2 coats on this, and then once the 2 coats had dried, I have a bunch of the transfers from last year's fairy pack left, and they're so gorgeous, and I don't know why I never got to use them. So I'm going to put this fairy on the cloche. Now, I was unable to really cut it how I want it, so what I decided to do was just take the transfer and only rub where I wanted it transferred, and that worked out pretty good. There was a few little places that stuck where I didn't want it to, but we could easily hide that and fix it here. So as you can see, I'm just rubbing all over the cloche because that's where I want the transfer to transfer. And then once I get it all down, I'll burnish it really well with my fingers, and then it's super easy to hide any of that excess that got on the sides, and I just went over that again with the paintbrush, and then I sealed it all in. I usually always go for the antique gold rub and buff. For this project, I decided to use the silver because the inside of this bag box metal container was silver, and I just thought that it would go better. I may end up going back over it with the gold. I just think it's better. It looks so much nicer with the Christmas, and you really won't see the inside of this anyway once you put decor in it. But for now, I went ahead and painted the base of the cloche and the top of the cloche with some of this silver rub and buff, and I got a little bit on the paint, but that's no problem. I fixed that with some more of that tapestry, and then I sealed it all with Big Top, the entire box, and let that dry. And to darken up, I just felt like the silver was too bright, so I took a little bit of dark wax and just went over the entire box and white backed all of the excess, and that toned down the silver perfectly. So I may end up leaving this like it is. I put some silver bottle brush trees in it, and now it looks so perfect. This little Snowman Mug has had some makeovers before, as you can tell. He used to be painted when I first got him. He chipped up and everything, so a few years ago I gave him a good coat of white spray paint, and that worked for a little while. But now I feel like I can upgrade him just a little bit more. So I'm going to take some of that tapestry, and I'm going to give him 2 coats of this beige and let him dry. And then to finish him off, I'm simply going to take some white wax and go over the entire thing to fill in all those details and really highlight all the little details on the snowman. To embellish him and fill him up with something, I rolled up a few Christmas hymns that I tore out of a thrifted hymnal. I rolled them up and tied them with some red ribbon, stuck them inside him with a little bit of floral, and now he's good to go for a few more years. This decorative cardboard box for many years. Like I said, I never throw anything Christmas away. I actually love the primitive red on there, and I have a couple more, but I can't locate them. But like I said, I love this red. I don't want to paint it, but I do want to embellish it a little bit. So I'm putting another one of those fairy transfers on here. And then I'm going to give the top a coat of the tapestry paint just to freshen it up a little bit and cover that Merry Christmas. And I feel like this makes a perfect box to put a tree in when it's finished, and now it's refreshed, and I love it so much more than I did before. thrifted this sign a couple of years ago and it was in great condition, so I've just been hanging it like it is. However, I'm getting a little tired of it, so I think I'm going to give it a makeover today. To begin with, I made sure to sand down that stencil. It wasn't hardly raised at all, but I knew that that black was going to want to show through, so I gave it a coat of Salvation Solution Primer first, just to help disguise that black, because I am going to turn around and paint this in 2 coats of DIY White Swan, because we're going to use a paint inlay on this, and I am putting the paint inlay into the 3rd coat here to make sure that I had really good coverage. And I like to use a mister bottle to make sure that all my paint is good and wet and even when I'm doing a paint inlay. So I just did a good healthy coat, but made sure it was good and even. And then I misted my paint inlay with the paint side down. And now I am going to lay it into the wet paint. This paint inlay is from a couple of years ago. I still have some of that Noel paint inlay, so I wanted to use it up. With your paint inlays, you want to make sure that you get all those wrinkles out, because they will show up in your paint. And it's okay, you can get kind of rough with it. It's not going to tear. It's not like decoupage paper. I have yet to tear a paint inlay. So I rubbed it really good with my hands into that wet paint. And now I'm taking a brayer to get it really flat. I walked away and I did some listing for my Whatnot show. And now I've come back that it's dry. And I'm going to re-wet it and remove the paint inlay backing. And it left an amazing transfer onto my sign. To seal it, I am using DIY Big Top, loading my paintbrush up really good and with a very light hand so I don't smear it. I will seal it up. I stamped these cute little wood round ornaments a couple of years ago. I have a whole bunch of them. I think they're really cute, but on these I didn't do a great job stamping. I was kind of new to it then, so I decided to give them a makeover. To begin with, I'm going to paint all the rounds, centers black. I'm going to do the front and the back, and then I'm going to seal them up with some DIY liquid patina. At first, I thought I would put some smaller transfers on these, but then I got to thinking about those precious little Christmas pups and kittens that we had last year. And I actually still have a few of those if you didn't get one last year. And my house is a pet-loving household, so I thought what would be cuter than to have pups and kitties on our tree this year. So I am going to, on one side, I'm going to stamp the little kitty heads. Now I can't get the whole stamp on there, but just their heads are the sweetest little thing. I'm going to use white permanent IOD ink, and I'm going to use a thin mount, and I'm going to press into the black paint. This is a permanent ink, so once I get that on, since I have already sealed in the DIY paint, these will be done. I just did kitties on one side, pups on the other, and then I used a little bit of baker's twine to hang these, and they turned out so cute, and I just love that they're two-sided and that we'll get to have these on our tree this year. So this is actually a DIY that I did last year, and I actually love it. It's just a light cover, and I glued a spindle on top. But I was scrolling through Pinterest yesterday, and I saw this gorgeous red bell. I have a thing for bells. Y'all know that. I'm always picking them up, and I just love bells. But I wanted to recreate that one that I saw on Pinterest because it was so beautiful, and I can always make more of these. I'm always looking for these type of light fixtures. So I went ahead and painted the entire thing with 2 coats of DIY marquee, and I sealed it up with Big Top. While that was drying, I made a little messy bow with just some burlap and some torn lace and different ribbons. And I also had some of my wood tags already stained. So I stamped the word joy using the apothecary label stamp on this one. And fun fact, I don't know if y'all know, but my middle name is Joy. I had the white ink sitting right there beside me from doing the pups and kitties, so I tried it, but it was just a little bit too faint. So I got up and got the black ink, and I went right over the top of that white, and I love the effect that it did. It gives it like this 3D look and looks really awesome. Before I sealed that in, I did take a baby wipe once the paint had dried, and I pretty heavily distressed it. And then also when I was putting the Big Top on, it distressed it more. Then I just tied the bow and everything on it, and I love how this bell turned out. I'm so glad that I decided to give it a refresh, even though I loved it just like it was. It's so beautiful now. Thank y'all so much for watching today's video. I hope that I've inspired you to maybe recycle some of your old Christmas decor because it's so easy and so much fun to turn it more current, more your style. I'll be back Friday with another video, and I hope to see y'all then. Be sure to book my Whatnot show on the 30th. Thank y'all so much for watching.